Eliza Blue has encountered the Streisand effect. Now, this happened after she went on Timcast to read out 2 statements from people who are anonymously accusing Andrew Tate of human trafficking via using the Loverboy method to ensnare them into his Camgirl website. And I reported on this with Dan at the time, and even though I am inclined to believe that Andrew Tate has done some rather sordid things, like being dishonest about the prospects of the women who were on his Camgirl site meeting the men who were paying them to meet him, these 2 allegations were light on details, heavy on emotion, and weren't particularly convincing. We can't say whether either or it's true, but it wasn't represented in a very good way. And so Eliza didn't come across as particularly credible at the time, and people started looking into her history and her own claims about why she is an anti-trafficking advocate. And what we're going to do here today is not say anything that's libelous. We are going to look at what other people have said, report on some of the sources they provided that raise questions as to Eliza's timeline, because she hasn't given a detailed account of how she claims she was trafficked, and we're not going to dispute her account. Just ask Eliza. We'd like some things cleared up, please.
I would like to address, just before we go any further, that I have referenced her previously on segments that we've done in the past when she's been talking about certain issues. She was very involved in the post-Twitter shake-up that was that took place after Elon bought the platform, and she seemed to be involved in that. She's done and said a lot of things in regards to trafficking that I support, and I think anybody would support. When you talk about why she's an advocate for trafficking, I think that's a bit of a blank statement, because I think as a neutral position, most people are against it. It's more her specific
as to
reasons
why
that she's given.
Is an authority on the topic beyond just somebody who has the ear of the people at Twitter who have gotten CP taken off the platform, which brilliant, well done. If she had the role that she proclaims to have had in removing that from the platform, fantastic work, Eliza. It's just that some of her background details in saying that she herself is a victim of trafficking appear to be nebulous or unclear.
Yeah, I'm interested to find this out, because I've not really looked into it over the weekend or since this information started coming out myself. I've only heard on the peripheral that was going on, and in the past when I have referenced her, I never thought to look into any of her claims, because my main thought was, why would you fake a story like that? I'd never really seen any description that she'd given of her experiences. I just saw that she labelled herself as such and kind of assumed what I think a lot of people would do, which is give a good faith interpretation
benefit
of
the
that.
doubt. Yeah,
exactly. Because why would somebody lie about such a thing?
Yeah, well, if this does result in Eliza stepping away from being a trafficking advocate, perhaps she has learned how to code, and she may be able to apply for the job that we've currently got going on lotuseaters.com, which is that of a web developer.
Oh, smooth transition there.
Exactly. Daily Wire quality stuff. So if you can work from the office in Swindon, either by commuting in like I do, which is why I'm always exhausted, or living in this hellhole like Harry does, then go and look at the website and see if you fit the criteria, and come and work with us and be annoyed by us in the office every day. Anyway, without further ado, Eliza originally reached a bit of prominence in 2021 because she'd partnered with Tesla as an anti-human trafficking advocate. This was from January 9th, 2021, and she attended the Tesla parade against human trafficking in Atlanta, Georgia in December. She also had the Tesla logo shaved into her head for the event. So she has a long-standing relationship with Elon Musk. They seem to be on friendly terms. So, if we can go to the next one, she's also proclaimed herself a free speech absolutist very recently. I want to be crystal clear. I'll die on the hill of free speech in America. The government cannot remove it. The WEF cannot remove it. Free speech is an inalienable human right, with or without both the government or the WEF. Now,
I think this is similar. I've seen her post numerous times in the past about her considering herself a libertarian, so I think this would fit within that belief system.
Yes, it is a bit buzzwordy because everyone seems to want to attribute everything to the WEF nowadays, and the WEF are obviously evil, but they're just the nexus, the funnel through which all the elites' bad ideas run through. If we destroyed the WEF tomorrow, the elites would still exist, so the problem is wider, but it's nice that it's entered the public consciousness at least. So she supports free speech absolutely, unless it's for mass flagging campaigns of things that she doesn't like. So this is from Raw's Alerts. A person by the name of Brittany Venti, who's a YouTuber, who one of the super chatters actually recommended she watch Dan's Brokenomics series as well, so she knows who she is, quite like Brittany, has been wrongfully censored and locked out of her account due to sharing a public video and asking a question on an old music video that Eliza Blue did a while back. An account named Amanda Jean has falsely locked her out. So what she said was, "Hey, Eliza, do you mind explaining why this particular video is out there at a time that you claim to be human trafficked? Because it's a little bit
She seems, given this screenshot, to be asking in complete good faith.
Yes, it was. She was asking, was the video coerced? Because it was a little bit lewd. Let's put it that way. There's also someone else that's been banned. The Quartering, friend of the show. If we can go on to the next tab, please, John. So Jeremy released on his, I believe this was his Locals account. Last night I was banned for standing with a fellow content creator who had also been banned for posting a publicly available image. I refused to delete the image, and so my account on Twitter will remain banned until such a point where Elon Musk likely has to intervene. The person who likely flagged my account is Eliza Blue. That's what Jeremy says. We cannot confirm or deny. She goes by many names, but is also very close to Elon directly. This is concerning. This is also why here and my email list are so important. Sometimes I will have to take stands on principle, but that also means I will lose access to you directly. And he gives information for if you'd like to contact the Quartering because you watch his content, you can follow those links there. There was also someone else. Chrissy Marr had one of her tweets taken down. So, oh, this was Yellow Flash, actually. That's that Star Wars girl raising this. If we go on to the next one, please, John, as well. Yeah, Chrissy Marr actually locked her out of her account for sharing something, and then Manuel DeFango is on the next one. And the reason I brought up Manuel is because we're going to come back to his Twitter thread very soon, because him and Eliza Blue are not particularly friends, because Manuel raises some uncomfortable questions about Eliza's career history.
Wait, so who is it who's been banned and censored? So we've got Brittany Venti,
The Quartering, Yellow Flash, Chrissy Marr, Manuel DeFango, and some other accounts of non-reputes that have shared similar links.
Okay, so Chrissy Marr and Manuel DeFango, seeing as he seems to be tweeting here, have got their accounts back. Is that correct?
Yes, their accounts have been unlocked because they've deleted the prior tweets.
But Brittany and The Quartering are still not on the platform.
Yes, exactly. So Eliza is claiming that they have been banned, nebulously, because they shared non-consensual nudity. It was on YouTube, publicly available video. If we go to the next tweet, please, John.
Was this not a screenshot taken from a music video?
It was the link to the music video as well that's publicly available. So she says, as of January 2023, 48 states and Washington, D.C. had passed laws prohibiting the distribution or production of non-consensual pornography. It's also against Twitter's TOS to post this type of content. Now, I haven't got the link in here, but also one of the Twitter Trust and Safety team, the new people appointed by Elon, did a thread on why they're banning certain accounts and things, obviously alluding to the fact that non-consensual nudity was shared by these accounts, but it was publicly available until it was brought to Eliza's attention.
And it is interesting to note that recently I've seen as well a certain drop-off in engagement with my own posts that I've been putting on Twitter, and a number of content creators, not just the ones that we're naming here, but a few other content creators and a few other public figures were put on Twitter and then immediately taken straight off again. So it's strange. Some people are suggesting that some people within the Twitter infrastructure might be
sabotaging,
going back to the old ways, shall we say.
New boss, same as the old boss. If we go to the next one, please. The video was public. So this was the link. Go down, please, John. Just stay on the tweet. Yep. This was the link. It had the link embed, but it is deleted ever since the last few days. The video has been taken down since it was brought to Eliza Blue's attention. So I wouldn't be able to show it to you anyway, because she is in dental floss thin underwear, shaking her nearly bare arse at the camera to the point of where you can see her bumhole. But it is curious how she has enough pull at YouTube to have had it taken down. So
do you mean Twitter? Has it been taken off of YouTube as well?
It's been taken off of YouTube as well.
Oh, okay.
If we go to the next one, please. We have it here. She says, this is Eliza's update tweet. I have been sexually exploited in multiple ways. I'd like to thank WorldStar for removing a video depicting me on Wednesday of this week. I'd like to thank Google and YouTube for removing the video on Wednesday. I'd like to thank Twitter and Twitter Safety, obviously, for censoring the accounts that shared it. If we go to the next image on this, though, someone emailed one of the WorldStar employees, and he said, Eliza was paid for this video and we own full rights. Anything further can be addressed via legal. So, this seems to have been contractually consensual. She may have been alleging she was coerced. If that was the case, then terrible.
I was going to say, you can still be coerced into signing a contract.
Of course, I agree. But the censorship campaign is suspicious because it wasn't nudity. It was scantily clad. It was publicly available on YouTube, and she hasn't addressed it until it has been removed.
Yeah, it seems very strange that she would have knowingly let that stay on the platform until it suddenly came back to bite her.
Yeah, so maybe she filmed it under duress, right? Let's hear from Eliza's own words if she filmed it under duress or not, shall we?
I'm really happy that the World Star video got released. That was good piece to the puzzle.
Was that the full clip?
Yeah.
Was there more to that?
Not necessarily in the tweet that was shared. So she's happy that it's part of her career. There's also another clip here where she calls her mother.
That clip could be taken out of context.
Sure, I agree. That could be taken out of context. What about her doing a full YouTube video that's been up for over 9 years, calling her mother, asking her mother, which other music videos you'd like me to see in? Can I be too sexy? What do you think about my career? Can we play an extract from that, please, John?
Okay, I just wanted to see what you thought about me being in music videos.
That's fine. You've done music videos before.
I know, but what do you think about it?
I enjoy it. I think it's fun. You've always loved music. You love to dance. You like to have fun. Right? It's fine.
Have you watched a couple of the music videos that I was in?
Yeah, I've watched a few of them.
You told me that you thought they were funny, right?
Well, they're funny because they're so stereotypical of what you'd expect that type of video to be.
Right, like party and whatever.
Yeah, a lot of parties, a lot of girls in short skirts, shaking their booties.
Do you think I look too sexy?
I don't think it's possible to look too sexy.
You don't think it's possible to look too sexy?
So it goes on longer. I didn't want to play the full 7-odd minutes, but she then asks, okay, who else do you want me to be in a music video with? You don't want me to be in a rap video with Snoop Dogg? Really, mother?
Okay, and what... Because once again, I've not really looked into the story beyond just kind of accepting the label at face value. What period is she alleging that she was trafficked between?
We're going to go through that timeline in a moment, because it doesn't
obviously
quite
9 years
add
ago,
up.
what would that be, 2014 now? 2014, 2013, when that video would have come
like
out?
That. Yep. So then Eliza got context checked for her own tweet by Twitter, who she's thanking.
Okay.
So she says, I'm going to address this one time and one time only. A non-consensual photo was posted of me yesterday on Twitter. It was a screenshot from the music video that was publicly available. The photos have been removed. The source of the photo has also been contacted, and I'm prepared to escalate to the full extent of the law. So she's preparing to sue people who share the clip or a screenshot from the clip out of context. So we haven't done that here, okay? Twitter decided to context check it with, the screenshot in question appears to have originated from a music video publicly available on YouTube for several years, and they link to an original tweet which had the link to the music video in it itself.
Yeah, I don't think this will have been Twitter itself. I think certain readers and certain people can add that context to certain tweets now.
Yes.
This wasn't Elon himself personally taking
it wasn't.
this.
So Twitter has intervened to censor on behalf of Eliza Blue, but people have been context checking her underneath, and it stayed up because people have been upvoting the community notes. So,
all right.
Yeah. So here we go with Manuel, who has a bit of a personal vendetta with Eliza, but he compiles some interesting claims in this, and there are some questions raised about the veracity of Eliza's timeline as to how and by who she was trafficked from. So the following are all allegations, just putting it out there. The evidence given only establishes timeline discrepancies. So Eliza Blue claims to have been trafficked in LA as a young girl, but forgets she was well known in the My Chemical Romance fandom during that time. If you just scroll cursorily through the thread, please, John. She lived on MySpace and hung out with Jeffree Star around the 2007 date she sets for her alleged trafficking. I also hung out with Jeffree Star from 2005 to 2008 and was around when she first showed up to the crew. Back then, she was a fangirl of My Chemical Romance and didn't give two S's about child trafficking. In 2007, Eliza Blue was busy claiming to be engaged to Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance, the same person who wrote The Umbrella Academy. During the same time, she now claims to have been trafficked. Just for the case of the audience, Harry. At the same time she was claiming to be trafficked, she was claiming to be engaged to Gerard Way. So unless she's claiming it's Gerard Way...
And she was hanging around, and Miguel is claiming that he actually knew her personally at the time because he ran into her because they ran in these
Same
circles.
subcultures. She uploaded lots of YouTube videos. She was famous on MySpace. She was friends with Jeffree Star. So she was a
very
well-known
public
face.
figure.
Yeah, well, public figure in the sense of if you hung around in this subculture...
Well, she was eager to make her whereabouts public and make her get herself a bit of a profile.
Yes. Last year, someone compiled the My Chemical Romance story to show Eliza Blue was and he says she was a crazy stalker of the band. I am not saying that. And apparently she threatened to commit suicide. it gets weirder.
I mean, checks out given the subcultures.
Eliza Blue was on TV show Blind Date, which ran from 1999 to 2006. On that show from 2006, Eliza claimed to be 21 and talked about sex. Yet a year later, she was 17 and being trafficked.
Okay, yeah, that doesn't really add up. I mean,
No.
These scroll back up just for this one. Yeah, that's definitely her.
Yes.
In a very mid 2000s emo look.
With the name Eliza Cuts.
Yeah, I've
or
known
Eliza Sleep.
Yeah, I've known many
or
girls
Eliza Knows.
of that type.
Lots of names also as we go throughout this timeline. So 2006, she's on Blind Date at 21. 2007, she's a My Chemical Romance girl on MySpace and Stickergram, but also saying she's getting trafficked at this time, and also saying she was 17 when she was getting trafficked. And 2016, she says that she had refused offers to sleep with people for $150,000. In 2022, she's saying 15 years ago, at age 17, she was trafficked, which means in 2007 she was 17 and being trafficked, but we know that doesn't add up with the blind date stuff. So there's some questions here which require asking. So now to get to her actual story, right? She was groomed at age 15 at the Vans Warped Tour for 2 years by an unnamed photographer. Apparently this is what she said. She went to LA with a photographer.
Given the crowds at Warped Tour, I could believe it.
Fair enough. She went to LA with a photographer and moved out before she was 18. She got into drugs and was sold as a trafficking victim. Now we have a good time over everything. The My Chemical Romance only played the Vans Warped Tour from 2004 to 2005, putting her story at 2005 for being 15 years old, yet somehow in 2006 she was on Blind Date claiming to be 21.
All right.
So was she claiming, is what this guy asked, that she was trafficked by My Chemical Romance members, anyone on Blind Date, Jeffree Star, James Charles, who she'd also mentioned being friends with, the unnamed photographer? It's not very clear for someone of such a high-profile anti-trafficking advocate to have this many questions.
And also, of all of the pop-punk and emo bands out there from the mid-2000s, I think My Chemical Romance might be one of the only ones that I'm not aware of having underage grooming allegations against them. Because sadly, that was a relatively common thing in the subculture, given the kinds of girls the kind of crowds that it attracted, which were mainly teenage girls.
Yeah, the Tumblr phenomenon.
But
yes.
as far as I'm aware, My Chemical Romance never seemed to have been involved in anything like that.
Right. So there are questions as to what Eliza is alleging during her time in this subculture, and also questions about her age at the time she was involved in the subculture. Also, in 2009, Eliza Sleep, so same name, sorry, different name, same person, also known as Eliza Cuts, was auditioning for the Chicago American Idol Season 9 auditions. In 2010, the New York Post ran an article, if we go to the next one, saying she was 28, and she was also one to watch for the 2010 auditions for American Idol.
So the one thing I am certain of this whole way through is that we have no idea how old she actually is, or at least her age keeps jumping around. This is also a remarkable level of autonomy and public image for somebody who's supposed to be being trafficked at the time.
Yeah, she's involved in a lot of music subcultures and willing to put herself in front of cameras, and then retroactively is saying, but during this time, an unspecified age and an unspecified date by unspecified people, I was being trafficked, and therefore I can represent trafficking victims.
Not saying that it's impossible, just that it would be a very strange series of circumstances to find yourself in.
It's unclear, let's put it that way. There's also the My Chemical Romance subreddit, not usually a reliable source for literally anything, but quite interesting in here, they say that they've known who Eliza is for quite a while. She was a hairdresser that was obsessed with Gerard, this is the post that I'm reading here, and managed to force herself into his life through work and friendship she formed with Mikey and Alicia. Search World's Most Hated Crew for more information about her and Alicia. The general understanding is that she stalked him, infiltrated his life so she was unavoidable, then went off the deep end when they were in a relationship and he left her. Then he was engaged to Linz within the same year. She also made herself available, and information about her and Gerard was very accessible to fans. Flaunted their relationship and got mad when she got hatred or backlash about her behaviour. She lurked on My Chemical Romance sites and communities like LiveJournal, which was already documented in the private thread. She posted public blogs that could be easily read on MySpace, Buzznet, all now purged. It was wild. If you haven't read her fan fiction she wrote here, it's linked. It's multiple chapters. We're not going to read it. The links are dead, but the text is also in the post. About their relationship, it explains some things, albeit poorly. I'll also note there was a long-standing rumour that Gerard paid for her to have an abortion that she may or may not have started herself, but she later denied that ever happened and stated she was never pregnant. So that may be wrapped up in the trafficking allegation. If it is true, we cannot confirm nor deny. This is just from people in the subculture at the time that provided a few links that do demonstrate she was involved in the subculture. Again, questions are raised. So if we go to the next one, she also arse-modelled for Tyra Banks on the Steve Harvey Show.
What? When's this video from, John? If you just
scroll down
scrolling
slightly,
for
please.
a moment.
10 years ago.
That's 10 years ago. Okay, very interesting.
So it was about 2012. Okay, interesting. Eliza's also daughter of a congressman. If we click on this, Representative Richard Mortland, Republican, 71st District. So did a Republican congressman from Springfield, Illinois, allow his daughter to get trafficked and still be quite high profile and in the public eye?
How certain are we that this is actually her dad?
I believe it is actually the case, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've seen lots of people reporting it. So, again, if we're wrong, happy to be corrected. It seems a bit odd, but also there's a suggestion that Eliza has been using her father's ranch, or at least a property potentially owned by her father. We go to the next one, please, John. For a charity effort called Humanity House. Now, there's no 501c3 non-profit registered to Humanity House.
Oh, right.
But she did say that she had started up a venture to have a place where human trafficking victims could go and feel safe. It seems that we don't have a particular site for it. She actually linked it to Andrew Yang here. If we can click on these tweets, John. The first one is to say that it's a pleasure to announce that Humanity House is now a home, and she cites the poem that's written on the Statue of Liberty. If we go to the next, Andrew Yang actually acknowledged the effort because he said, "Hello, Eliza, thanks for sharing." She said, "Thank you for everything. I opened a safe house for trafficking survivors on Monday. I named it Humanity House, a nod to you. Please keep up the good work, and I promise you I'll keep trying to move humanity forward." So she set up what seems to be a charitable enterprise, but people can't quite find the location for it, and she hasn't really spoken about it since then. The only thing we have found, if we move on to the next thing, please, John, is that someone... Oh, this is interesting. The tweet has been limited that was the source to this, but her parents sought approval for something to be built on their property in September of 2020, and then she said in March 2020 it was now being opened. And we actually have, in the next link, the PDF of, can we go to there? From Rock Island County, the planning permission and the map from her parents' plot of land. So again, questions are being raised. Why is this charity house never materialized? Why has it never been given an actual location?
So she was claiming that it was already opened before the planning documents had even been filed.
If this is the location, yes, and this is the only location that people have found so far. For again, questions are being raised, Eliza. We'd like them answered, please, because if you're really are doing good work, we just want to make sure that we're supporting someone who says what they actually do. That seems to be pretty reasonable.
And once again, it seems very strange when you've got allegations coming at you that if you do have a legitimate story behind them, you could just come out and make a public statement explaining all of the potential discrepancies in the story. Instead, you're choosing to censor. Instead, you're potentially misusing some of your behind-the-scenes influence in Twitter to get people's accounts banned.
Exactly, and in trying to censor, it's created a Streisand effect where people are going, well, why are you trying to hide this? We're just getting more and more information released. If we go to the next one, please, John, the quartering is also in this video. I'm not going to go through it because he does enough of a good job documenting it, but as soon as she opened up Humanity House, she crowdfunded for 2 vacations. She said, I need time off, and I'm going to crowdfund to go on holiday because all of my trafficking charitable work has really taken it out of me, and so she crowdfunded herself 2 vacations. So interesting stuff to do. You would have thought that you possibly would have needed to stick around and make sure that you need all of the supplies for the house instead, but again, questions as to why she did that. So we get down to what is Eliza's trafficking allegation in her own words. So she went on Michael Malice's podcast, I believe this was now 2 years ago, might have been last year, and she defines trafficking as catfishing. Play the clip, please, John.
I was trafficked on Twitter as well. So there's been 3 profiles to my knowledge that my former abusers made to traffic me on Twitter. I didn't realize because I kind of just signed up for Twitter in late 2019. So it was like one of the last few days of 2019, I signed up for Twitter.
But what does that mean that they trafficked you on Twitter? How can someone traffic you if they're not in contact with you?
Yeah, so the way that was working, I didn't know about the profiles existing because I wasn't on Twitter and I wasn't looking for them. The way that my former abusers were doing it is that it was going back to my Instagram. The Twitter accounts were linking back to my Instagram, and they were trafficking me off Instagram, Backpage, sugar daddy websites. I mean, whatever type of internet trafficking is what was happening. I'll go into more detail. So it looks like a profile. In my particular case, the profiles look like profiles that would be me, but trying to entice business to sell me, bringing it back to my Instagram where they were doing business. Fortunately, in my particular case, there are no nude images or videos of me on Twitter. Thank God, right now. The day is young, I guess. But it would go back to my Instagram, and that's how they would traffic me, sell me without my full consent and without my knowledge. When I joined Twitter, an ex-boyfriend actually pointed out the first profile. After I reported it to Twitter, it took them 3.5 months to take it down. The second profile took 5 days. They actually took it while I was on my way to they took it down while I was on my way to do my interview with Tim Cast. And then the third profile, the platform has refused to take down.
So she is saying that people misusing her image to lure men into giving the money or using camgirl websites is how she is being trafficked. That seems to be using the term trafficking quite loosely.
And that's an immoral thing to do on behalf of the people who are using the images to catfish, both for the people they're catfishing and also for Eliza herself. But I don't think that's trafficking. Because my missus, she watches the show you may have heard of called Catfish. It's insufferable. But I would have thought that their show would be much, much, much more serious if at the end of every episode somebody went to prison for human trafficking.
Yeah, it's not honest, but it's not a crime as far as I know. Also, she's not quite telling the truth because people have found that she had a profile which seems to have been run by her, posting some rather saucy photos under the name Eliza Sleep quite a few years before that. So claiming that you only joined Twitter in 2019 under the name Eliza Blue, there is at least a question here as to whether or not you ran that account, because that was one of your former names when you were going by a different career, and it was a bit more salacious than her current content. So, again, questions raised. Eliza also used to work for a camgirl website. Now, this could actually be a trafficking claim, but she doesn't tell the story with much harrowing in her voice. I'll let her speak for herself.
You know, I have a service that I work through called ChatStar. So anybody that wants to contact me personally, like a fan, or I hate the word fan, it's so ugly, but anybody that feels a need to contact me personally can text message me through a service called ChatStar. And I do get paid through that. They pay to text me.
Wait, ChatStar is a cam site? Hold up, wait, what? I'm over here like, oh yeah, she's talking about it's messaging and it's called ChatStar. Oh my God, I'm so dumb. Literally porn star chat, oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. I need to recollect myself for a second. Watch Cam Soda's free live cams. No registration required to view our live sex webcams. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Literally, she webcammed. That's why she's getting $150,000 offers to fuck people, because she literally was on a cam girl website. Okay, mystery solved.
Thank you to Brittany Venti for that coverage. I'm sure Brittany isn't feeling particularly aggrieved by this whole scenario. The last one that Eliza seems to have suggested might have been why she was trafficked. Chrissy has shared this clip. If we go to the last one, please, John. She says, survival sex and prostitution without a pimp that she experienced was trafficking. If we play this last clip, please.
You stood out and said, I'm a survivor of human trafficking before it was a pop culture topic. So I appreciate you laying that groundwork for me and all the folks that worked in the movement to lay that groundwork, so to be there when survivors like myself reach out.
I wanted to say something first, that you said that I'm a survivor of human trafficking. I did say that, but not till later. What I first said was, I'm an ex-prostitute and I had a pimp. And everyone's like, and it's your fault. But
we didn't happen. But Annie, we didn't have the language to put to it. We didn't have the language to put to it back then. I mean, this wasn't, this wasn't a conversation the way that it is now.
I'm an ex-prostitute.
We did not have the language to put to it then. And I feel like what you said was perfect at the time for what it was. And to be brutally honest, depending on the folks that I'm talking to, I will navigate and say pimp, trafficker. It just depends.
After I turned 18, and after things happen after that, I can honestly say I do play a role in what's going on around me.
And also, survival sex is not considered human trafficking.
What's survival
There's still
sex?
even survival sex is that gray area between. Let's talk about something funner after this. This is not my most fun.
Hold on.
You know what I mean? Let's kick it up a notch. No, we can talk about survival sex. I don't care about that. Listen, this is like water off a duck's back. I'm just tired of it, man. It's been a long week. We had the election this week. Let's talk about anything else. No, I'm just saying. So survival sex would be if you need something like housing, drugs, medicine, food. You're selling sex to survive, but you don't necessarily have a pimp or a trafficker. Survival sex is not considered human trafficking.
And there were moments where I could have chosen to handle things differently and I didn't. So, although bad things happen to me, I am also capable of doing really horrible things.
Yeah, I think you said it just right.
Before you say anything, can I just say to everybody who puts together these compilations, good work. Please stop it with the music.
I agree.
Please stop it with the over-editing, because honestly, it just makes the content of the video look more like a crazy conspiracy. You're not going to gain legitimacy by editing it in such an over-the-top and coarse, to quote Peter Hitchens, manner. It really doesn't make you look legitimate when you edit things. But I get the point of what that video was suggesting. If you were just listening, what you missed was the fact that there was overlays of text saying things like, because that's what she did, why does she keep referring to it as we in such a way? And yes, that does sound just like prostitution is now trafficking because I say so.
Yeah, it sounds like I have done things that I'm not particularly proud of in the past, and therefore I am going to define away my culpability in choosing those sorts of things as human trafficking and therefore fight it. I'm not saying that's what happened, but that is definitely the implication that the video and its edits of her own words are trying to suggest.
Also, I have one other question, which is that if it is true that her father is a congressman, why would she need to go through survival sex in the first place? Why would she need to do something like that? Because surely she would be able to go to her father if she was ever in need of any help. Does she have a bad relationship with him? Are they disconnected? What's going on there?
I think whether or not that rap video was made consensually, you could probably surmise she has a bad relationship with her father.
I mean, I wasn't going to say so, but
I would. So, often, those looked in the public eye are the loudest to drown out the rattling of skeletons in their closet. I hope, given Eliza's claim that she's doing lots of good work over at Twitter, that this isn't the case, but we have some questions. Fancy answering them?
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the Contemplation series, this episode on Celtic mythology. If you'd like to find out what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.